Hi friend, welcome back to the channel. As of right now, Trump has enacted a total of 145 tariffs on China. But the Chinese manufacturers had something to say about it. Before I start my first story this week, I want to make it clear that I am not a political channel. I will not be going into detail about the tariffs or Trump or trade wars or anything like that. I'm only talking about this because it's relevant to the stories that I want to talk about this week. If you want to go to other channels for politics, please do so. It will not be this channel. So let's continue. As we all know by now, Trump has enacted many tariffs on a lot of our big trade partners. That includes Mexico and Canada, and especially China, who has the biggest tariff on them right now.
We have massive breaking news right now. Donald Trump and the Trump administration have announced that a 104% tariff will go into effect against China at midnight after China missed its deadline of noon today to roll back its own 34%.
Ever since this trade war started, Trump and China have been going back and forth on the tariff. And right now, the tariff is actually sitting at 145%. This one is when 104 tariffs were set on China. And who you're hearing from right now is Aaron Partners. He is on TikTok. He's actually one of the biggest news political people on TikTok. And he kind of just reports a lot of headline-y kind of news. And he does a very, very good job at making very quick headline, news stories for people to kind of watch and kind of digest really quickly.
Tariffs on American goods. This is a significant escalation. 104% tariff, which will mean that costs will go up across the board on everything America imports from China, but especially things like electronics, your Apple iPhone, Apple Watch, iPad, all of those are going to go up tremendously in price. In addition, textiles, toys, clothing, so much more will be impacted by this. These tariffs will take effect at midnight tonight or 12:01 a.m. tonight. These are retaliatory tariffs. They're 104%. Prices could theoretically double, triple in some instances because of these tariffs. Donald Trump is not backing down. We are in a trade war with China, which means TikTok could be impacted.
As you heard Aaron say right there, clothing, toys, and things like that, like everyday goods that we use, will be affected by these tariffs. So to kind of retaliate against this, Chinese manufacturers have had something to say about the fact that these tariffs are going to affect us in a lot of ways. We love getting a lot of affordable things on Shein and things like that, but these tariffs are not going to be good for any of us if we love shopping on those sites. Right here is a creator from China who works for a Chinese manufacturing company, and she explains tariffs a little bit better.
Who paid the tariff on it? The Chinese government pays the tariff.
What is he talking about? I'm not kidding, but the top comment under this video is so who is paying the tariffs on Chinese goods? Some lad actually believe that Chinese government is paying the tariffs. And the truth, the cost falls on businesses and the consumers. Factories won't absorb the losses. They are not in the business of losing money. And importers won't take the hit either. They will just pass the cost down the supply chain. And guess who's left to pay more at checkout? You, the consumer. Still not convinced? Just take a look at your local supermarket price. Oh, and the egg doesn't count.
And she said it right there. We, at the end of the day, are going to be the ones that are paying all these high prices because of what Trump is doing with China. Because a lot of us do use those websites like Shein and Temu, a lot of people believe that the goods that come out of China from those websites are bad, low quality, and very, 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 very cheap and cheaply made. But according to these Chinese manufacturers, that's not necessarily true because a lot of these goods, a lot of these brands actually use Chinese manufacturers to make their products. And that includes a lot of brands that we know of and we shop from.
Wholesalers, it's 2024 and you still don't know who are the suppliers behind Dior? Their knitwears and cardigans are from Beyond Garments from Hangzhou. Beyond Garments is also the supplier behind many luxury brands from America and Europe like Sandra, Maj, Versace. Second, most of the Dior's cosmetic products are actually produced by Taiho Group, which is also the supplier behind Lancome.
Her exposing these brands as the ones that are actually made in China is actually a really big deal because a lot of us thought when we see the made in Italy sign on these like Chanel Coach bags, we think they're literally made in France, Italy, and countries like that. But a lot of them apparently, according to this lady, are made in China.
And Loewa. Third, 24-hour packaging technology from Shenzhen provide exquisite packaging and bags for Dior. Of course, Dior has their own factories in many countries, supplies different products for them. If you want to know more about this part of the information, tell me in the comment section so I'll prepare for my next videos.
Here's Luna again telling us even more about these Chinese manufacturers.
99% people don't know these places. If you're sourcing from China, make sure to go to the right cities. First, Hebei Gaoyang, China's largest towel production base, make 30% of China's towel. Third, if you're looking for refrigerator, make sure to go to Anhui Hefei, China's largest refrigerator production hub. Looking for underwears, go to Zhongshan Xiaolan in Guangdong, also largest.
So she's saying right there, if you're looking for anything like towels, you gotta go to these cities to get the best products and business.
Production base or underwear. What? Looking for erotic laundry? Go to Jiangsu Lianyang. And lastly, if you're looking for guitars, make sure to go to Guangdong Huiyang. 30% of the world guitars are all from here. Alright guys, this is Luna. Follow me for more China sourcing tips.
So there she is. She's telling you where to go get this stuff. It's not always about whether or not it's low quality or high quality or not. One of the biggest stories to come out of this entire situation was this guy from Sen Bags who spilled the tea on all of our favorite iconic classic bags, especially
This
Hermes.
bag at Hermes boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out of the factory? Today, I'm
$38,000 on a bag is not something that I can even like comprehend. I feel like even if I had a lot of money, I still would not be spending $38,000 on a bag. If I was a billionaire, I don't think I would be spending that much. I don't think I would be spending that much, but I'm not the one with all the money, okay?
going to break it down in front of you step by step. First thing first, Hermes only use the leathers from the 3 top-level suppliers. One is called Muti from Italy. The second is Weinheimera from Germany, and the third is Paz from France. One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD. And one piece of the leather is only enough to make one Birkin, okay? The thread. And of course, for Hermes Birkin, the thread is also the best top level. It's called Fil Al Chinois from France. This is actually the Rolls Royce in thread. For each bag,
It's an expensive thread right there.
cost is 25 USD. And then the hardware. See, this hardware is called 316 hardware. It's also known as the ocean stainless steel because it can withstand the erosion of seawater. It's the best stainless steel. For one piece of bag, the hardware will cost 150 USD. The edge oil. This edge oil is imported from Italy. It's called heat seal edge oil. For each bag, it will cost 50 USD. The interior lining, it used lambskin imported from France. For each bag, the cost will be 100
Lambskin, that's wow.
USD. And also inside, there is a zipper from Riri brand. And the zipper for one bag is 10 USD. And then the cost of human resource. The French artisans is much more expensive than Chinese artisans. To finish one bag, the human resource cost will be 600 USD. Package. Now this is not that expensive, it's 10 USD. So now to sum those up, the total cost will be 1,400 USD for one Birkin out of factory. But why Hermes will charge you 38,000 USD for one bag? That's because more than 90% of the price is paid for its logo. But if you
Apparently they don't make the logos in China. They make it in the state of which these bags are supposedly coming from. So whenever something says made in Italy, according to a lot of this stuff, it means that the logo or like the finishing of the product was finished in that country. Doesn't necessarily mean that France or England or Italy is necessarily making these bags or just putting their logo on it as like a finishing touch and then calling it made in this country, according to this guy.
do not care about the logo, you just want the same quality, same material, you can just buy from us. Because for our bags, we use exactly the same material, same leather, same hardware, same edge oil. The only difference is one, we don't have the logo, so we don't have to pay so much amount of money just for that logo. And second, our human resource is much cheaper. This is why this bag from our factory only costs you 1,000 USD, but even better quality and craftsmanship.
You know, to go from $38,000 bag to only having it be $1,400 is really, 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 really interesting to me, because it's like, why even buy? Well, like, who cares about a logo at that point, right? If you can just get the same quality item, who cares about a logo? When it comes to stories like this, I like to get the entire side of what is really going on here. So here is Tanner Leatherstein, who is like a bag reviewer. He breaks down a lot of like bags and how much they really cost. And he's actually really, really experienced and really good at this. So he explains this and what is really happening with these manufacturers and what are they really talking about when it comes to whether or not you can get items cheaper for better quality in China.
TikTok trade wars. So it turns out there is another trend going on, and I'm not aware, as I'm off news and social media for 5 years now. But regardless, I got so many questions, I had to do my commentary on a family trip that I'm in Barcelona now. So I watched the main video where the guy breaks down the cost of a Birkin.
So now to sum those up, the total cost will be 1,400 USD for one.
Even 1,400 is too high. So Tanner really explained this so well.
Inaccuracies in his original video. So let's break down that video and point out the accurate and inaccurate information in his video. He starts with listing the materials and the cost of it. And he shows a leather that says Togo. But the leather there, this leather, is not Togo. The second thing he says is true.
Already, that send bags guy is already spreading misinformation, which is really, really upsetting. But I will tell you why they're really doing this in a couple of minutes.
Material supply chain, everything is available in China. Yes, that is true. A lot of Chinese buyers drop $500,000 on one leather shipment in European tanneries to buy real Togo to make counterfeit bags. That's true, leather is available, but most of the counterfeits in China doesn't use that real leather. And you know, those tanneries can't even make that much anyways. Then he says,
one piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD.
That's not true. The Togo from Weinheimer today costs about $330. On average 22 square foot at 13 euros a foot. You do the math. He says another true thing about the stainless steel, the ocean steel hardware.
The hardware. See, for one piece of bag, the hardware will cost 150 USD.
Yes, that's a stock grade hardware and it's available in China. That's also true. But it doesn't cost $150. That's also padded. But then he adds up all these costs, saying that the total is $1,450. That sounds a bit steep to me because I was in Guangzhou last month. I've seen these top-level fake Birkins that is way better than the one he's showing in the video, and they were selling at $500, made with real Togo and stainless steel. So I'm assuming his exaggeration is to sell his fakes or dupes at a 3x multiplier, leveraging a trend now.
There you have it. So obviously this sandbags guy also has his own thing that he's trying to do when it comes to selling and marketing to us who want cheaper bags, who want those brand name bags, but at a really, really, really affordable prices, but still have very, very good high quality. So he's using this entire trade war to, you know, sell a product. So that's fine and all. That's fine and dandy. Do what you got to do when it comes to your money. But like, it's just kind of interesting to think about.
And that's kind of where the problem starts, because if you're going to expose anything, if there's anything to expose, you better be accurate. And there's so many inaccuracies in this video that kind of makes me not to think much of this content. He also has a very accurate point where he says China has the skills and talent as well as the materials. That's absolutely true. But the problem is most of that talent is going to make fakes or dupes of these known brands.
You know, Tanner's issue here is just that people just keep making fakes and dupes and pretending that it's okay to do that. I don't have a problem with fakes and dupes as long as you feel good.
In my opinion, why not? China is producing their own designs, own brands, using these beautiful hardware, beautiful material they have, with incredible skill they have, all I know and believe, and sell that bag for $500, which is very profitable in their cost structures. Believe me, I know. But the problem...
And that's true. Why not? Why can't they make their own instead of selling dupes to us and saying that it's cheaper, even though it could be a little cheaper?
is why your option should be a dupe of a classic, iconic bag from a European brand. Why not these individuals make their own creations and offer that quality at a very affordable price point under their own brand name? That's the real challenge I invite all Chinese people to take on in this trade war. I think that's the real meaning. I'm not here to judge anybody making fake bags, anybody buying or using fake bags, but here's what I think. Here's my understanding of the concept. And I think it should start with increasing the moral looseness that China has on some of these matters, because if you're going to make a video that's going to go viral and impact the world, it better be accurate, otherwise you're going to lose your credibility.
So that send bags guy was obviously pretty wrong in a lot of his stuff. So he, at the end of the day, like I said, he just wants to sell stuff. He just wants to sell and make money, and that's fine. But I wish he was being a little bit more honest in this whole entire situation instead of taking advantage of people. So to wrap this entire thing up, here is another final take on this point that I was trying to make here. I didn't mention this earlier, but Lululemon was also one of the bigger companies and brand names that was called out for how they manufacture their products in these Chinese manufacturing companies. And this lady has a really, really, really good point that I want to make clear.
They're lying to you, sweeties. Those Chinese manufacturers that are swearing they're gonna sell you Lululemon leggings for $5 because of the tariffs, they're lying. Realistically, these manufacturers have contracts with major brands. Even if 100,000, even if 500,000 people on TikTok buy those $5 leggings, it's not worth giving up what they get from Lululemon. Does some stock fall off the back of the truck, so to say? Sure, sometimes that happens in every industry, almost every industry. But these like AliExpress sellers, these TikTok shop sellers, they're just making dupes. Even if it says Lululemon inside the leggings.
And that's true. That's true. I do want to say here that I don't know how she knows that these brands have really big contracts with these certain manufacturers. I don't know how she knows that. We don't really know the insight to these contracts and what they have and what they don't have. But that's what she believes is happening.
You're just making a dupe. It's very easy to put whatever tag you want in. You're a manufacturer. All you have to do is get a pair of Lululemon leggings, find a similar fabric, stitch the seams in a similar way, put a similar tag in it. You may hear that and be like, well, then there's no difference between buying the dupe and buying Lululemon. That's really up for you to decide. I just wanted to let you know that they're lying.
Yeah, she's right. They might be lying or they might not be lying. We really don't know, like I said, but it's always a good thing to kind of know where you kind of stand in these matters. So as she said there, they are just making dupes, even if, if it says Lululemon on it. But sometimes people don't really care if it's, as long as the quality is there, I will buy a Lululemon legging. I just want the quality. I don't want to pay for the brand. I want the quality. I want what I want. I don't really care so much about the brand. I just want the quality. If you're one of those people that does not care so much about the brand, but you still want that quality, what I recommend doing is going on to these like larger manufacturing marketing places. I don't recommend Shein because Shein's products are never, they're never really good. But I do recommend like AliExpress, Alibaba. I recommend DHgate and things like that so that you can get, and all you have to do with those is just look up the quality, look up the reviews, see what you can find if the qualities are there, and then you can probably get really good products. Unfortunately, with these tariffs, it's really, 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 really difficult because it's going to be really expensive for us right now, but we will have to see what happens there.